Well, the market has wrapped up for today, and I got to tell you, Fig stock broke out of that consolidation pattern. I like it harder than I broke my toe on Friday. True story, man. Oh man, I kicked that chair so hard, and honestly, a broken toe hurts less than I thought it would. I mean, it hurt a lot initially, but in any case, I digress. So, Fig stock. SOUN stock is also very interesting. We'll talk about that. BigBear.AI blasting off today. I talked about the structural break last Friday. I talked about it in my video today. And then, well, we got to see the results of it as we saw some of that downward pressure come off of this thing, especially leaning into Palantir earnings. So we'll take a look at Palantir as well. And then I just want to give an update on Rustic Hardware is one of my stocks that I picked for best stocks to buy for Q3 2025. A lot of them have outperformed the S&P. Some of them have sold off since then. So if you use them as good swing trade opportunities, excellent. Let me know down in the comments. Maybe we start to kick up that next round. We're going to have to go back through and recap them or pick up some new ones along the way here. So Rustic Hardware, or I'm sorry, Restoration Hardware. My goodness, RH is the ticker symbol. So let me put the charts up here for you. We'll kick things off with a Fig stock. So let's go to the daily chart because it's useless, just because it's a lot of fun to look at. There we go. Ooh, up more, but kind of down and then down. Well, all right, so let's go to something useful. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. There we go. And if I also put up here for you these lines, and we'll take away some of the things. So I've actually gotten rid of the triangle that I had on here for you before, but we've actually sort of entered this descending wedge look here in the near term. We're actually against support right now with some resistance. The resistance starts at about 94, lasts all the way up until about 90. It's actually 97.95 is the number that we're looking for, with some signs that just to the north, that 100 is also going to be a psychological resist for us. And we'll likely see if we look at the level 2, for example. Some of the order book, most likely you'd find some people trying to sell out of their position there. So some of the evidence that we have for that, well, I'll draw on the symmetric triangle just in case you missed this morning's video. There we go. We had these signs of consolidation this way and one more trend line down here. I had that drawn in the wrong spot, but it's close. It is actually over to here. There we go. That was what we were looking at. I put this out over at the Discord. You guys can check out the Discord. Links in the description. Code word doctor's been extended. You guys can take advantage of that. Get you 50% off your first month sign up. So in any case, this is the symmetric triangle right in here. I said, watch for the break. If we break down below this thing, we could sell off more. Man, this thing opened and then ripped right down out of the bottom. So I'm hoping some people over to the Discord were able to take advantage of that. Or maybe some of you over here at YouTube, if you got to see it early enough. My video was a little bit late getting out. I apologize for that. We'll make sure that it's a little bit quicker the next time. So we'll take that down, and now we're looking at this descending wedge pattern that points right down to support we're at the moment. And in the after hours, we're actually starting to pick back up a little bit, giving evidence that that really is good area of support. But Doc, didn't you just draw those on there? Is where you saw that little candle? No, the candle ended up there because of the Fibonacci extensions and retracements that we can put up on here. So 87.80 is the top of that support. The bottom's at 84.11. And as a matter of fact, that Fibonacci extension you see on here, it was actually born, if we go all the way back to the after hours at 4:15, between 4:15 and 4:30 on Friday is when that level down there of 87.80 was born, and that 84.11 was actually the low price that we had when this thing opened. Looks like between 1:45 and 2 o'clock on Thursday of last week, at least as far as the chart shows here. So from here, where in the world do we get to go? Well, we'll see. Breaking up above the top of this thing could give us some relief, back up to this 93.68. And then we got that resistance to fight through. Somebody's asking me in the comments, they're like, back here it was, going all the way back to when this candle formed at 2:30 to 2:45. They're like, are we going to bounce from here? I said, if we can keep the double bottom, we got the neckline for that at 97.95. And then we could push up potentially to about 103, I think was that number. Maybe it was 104. It was somewhere around in there. But you can see that by the time we got to 3 o'clock to 3:15, it just didn't hold. So any chance that we had at that double bottom was just blown apart. If not, then certainly by 3:15 to 3:30, this thing fell apart. But so far, we could be getting to a level now where we might actually see a near-term bounce rather than just something that just continues to fall apart. There's going to be, it's going to be hard right now while it's so darn young to actually talk about it. CoreWeave is just now getting old enough to actually talk about it in more meaningful ways. So let this thing cook for a couple days, couple weeks, and I mean, it's really most likely going to be fairly thinly traded between now and then, just because there's not a lot of places for technical traders to go in and really find high conviction areas of support or resistance. So when I give these supports or resistances, they're likely to crumble pretty darn quickly. They might still respond to it, especially as we start to find these areas, but they're not well defined as we might find for stocks that have been trading for years, months, or even weeks on end. So give this some time. We are some near-term support. We could continue to see a little bit of a bounce from where we're at right now. Let's put that back up and let's get to SOUN because I want to start talking. Let's go to the monthly chart. We'll work our way down. So we do have some signs of selling pressure as soon as we get north of $10 per share, especially here since we keep on getting capped off right at about $10.75. So just south of $11. Man, this thing just keeps on selling off. But you do see this yellow 13-month has been support for us for a while. So we'd have to go back. Well, let me see. The cross was all the way back in the month of February of 2024. And then that yellow support all the way since then. We actually peekabooed down. Well, we closed down below it in March. April, we know what happened in April with the whole tariff thing. And then since that time, May, June, July still above it. And then August didn't quite get back down to it so far. It is encouraging that we're back up above this green 5 EMA that's on here that you might see behind all those candles. And if you can't see it behind all those candles, let me do this for you. So you can see there's the green, and so far we are up above the green at 1041. We closed today at 1064, up a little bit in the post market. We really got to push this thing up above 11 and actually hold above 11 in order to see further upside. The RSI at 5550 is bullish. So far we're in decent shape here. If we drop down to the weekly chart, what are we looking at? An RSI of 50.69, but sort of dancing along bullish, bearish, can't make up its mind. Had a nice little move up in there when I started covering it. Recovered down to the 50 week. Now what do we got to do? We have some challenges ahead of us because as we look at the candles here, we actually closed so far for the start of this week down below the 13, but up above the 21. We got the 5 that's up there still chilling. So we actually want to get up above 1065 according to this, preferably up above 1089. And that 1089 is going to continue to be important to us. Let's drop down to a daily basis, and I will show you why. So the hurdles that we have in front of us, one is this 50 EMA that we are rejected off of. We're currently up above the 5 EMA, but we are down below the 13 and the 21. We need to see those bullish crossovers happen. If we can't retake the EMAs, then this nice little candle setup we got that does imply further bullishness, further upside, is going to fall apart on us. So it's all about the moving averages. The RSI a little bit weak at 46.27. That is bearish momentum that we're looking at. So this could be just a near-term rally for us before dipping back again. We're going to have to watch and see. Now, the 50 EMA at 1080 is important to us. Let me put up the simple moving averages because just north of that at 1088, that number is the number to overtake. So let's just call it $11 per share to solidly get up there and actually hold on to it. That's going to be very important for us. You guys might be able to see this support down here at the 100-day that we got before bouncing back up. So we got to overtake the 50 and the 200, and then perhaps we actually get that golden cross that we were cheated out of going back to the 23rd. So for Soundhound, let me tell you my overall take on Soundhound. Soundhound right now, I think could be exciting if it can take another few cents climb. If it can take like another 35 cents from where it's at right now and actually show us that $11 and hold that $11, especially if we get some volume support with that convicted move, some conviction in that move, then I think that we have some further upside to look forward to. If we can't overtake 1088, if we can't get back up on top of that 200-day, and if we have no volume support to go along with the move that we see, we could either flounder around or even drop off a little bit from where we're at right now. So that's what I'm looking for Soundhound. I'm excited, but I'm not ready to take a position on it yet. There are earnings on August the 7th in the after hours. That could be the next catalyst that we're looking for. Maybe we chop, maybe we rise up to earnings. We're going to have to watch and see. Maybe we hold like right around that 200-day deciding, should I go bullish, should I go bearish, should those, and then earnings make that decision for us. And then we can trade accordingly from there, long or short on it. So, or I should say long options, which allow us to go long or short options. Whatever. We can talk about that. We can cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's get to BigBear.AI. In the after hours here, sitting at 719, closed at 709 for the day. I talked about the structural breakout that we experienced on Friday. There we go. Put that back for you so you guys can see it. I have this circled here. If you didn't see my Friday's video, you should check it out because I talked before that about being in this bear channel. And then on Friday's video, I said, hey, we broke out of that. That's bullish for us. We could potentially see a nice day on Monday. Here's Monday. Check out that candle that we got. Nice big old candle, about 9% just in that single one, and then pulled back to support here, which was resistance, but we blasted through it, held on to it as support, so that's why it's green now instead of red. This one's still red because we couldn't get through it. We are holding near the bottom of that, which is right around 710, my favorite split besides banana. So 740, up above that, we could potentially have that in the after hours. Looks like moving a little bit green. Don't know if that's just overall market sympathy or if it has anything to do with Palantir. By the way, BigBear.AI earnings are on the 11th in the after hours. So that's next Monday that we're looking for that. And we really, really, really want further indication that some revenue is coming their way. I'm just going to keep on saying it. We want revenue beats. We want to see growth in the earnings. If they get the revenue beat, but they're still losing, they lose even more money, then that shows that they're not scaling the way that they need to be able to scale. We want more revenue and we want less losses. And we're just going to call that obvious and we're going to move on from there. The RSI up above 55. And we're also up above the moving averages on this thing so far. We are up above the 5, 13, 21, and 50. We need to get that 5 to cross back over the blue 21 and the yellow 13. More of those bullish crossovers, please. The RSI, like I said, about 54.88. Weekly 60, and then on the monthly 64. So no longer in overbought territory, but you can see plenty of signs of selling pressure that happens as soon as we get north. Let me see here. Usually on like $8 a share, what I said before, but it's actually around $7-ish is what we see from July and these previous peaks that we have, 723, and then the top of this thing opened at 715, and we are currently sitting right now at 709. So we'll watch and see the high price that we're able to put out in August so far, 732. So I showed you that area of resistance that happens to be right in there. So you guys can see where those tops are for 8. You can also see the tops that we have right here, right at about, what was that, 710 to 740. So over in the Palantir in the post market, 168.40. Now I looked at the level 2 during the regular trading day for Palantir, and there were a ton of orders. I forget how many it was, tens of thousands of orders that were sitting right at about $171 per share. And I gotta say, for Palantir, we'll see what comes out in the earnings call for them. I keep on refreshing their page. Ooh, we actually have the presentation, so that's gonna be neat to see what it is that they have to say. And I've shared this stuff before. We'll see what they lead with for this one. So 168. Definitely a good price to be sitting at, especially with the paperwork that's out there. Now we need the earnings call to start. Don't believe that the earnings call has happened yet. Nice big old pop up in the after hours. And like I said, around 171, 172, that was where that selling pressure was, or where we had that resistance in the level 2. Perhaps it's affecting us here in the after hours as well, giving us those long wicks that we can't quite exhaust that part of the order book as we look at the after hours here. So we're going to have to see getting up on top of that. It could be pretty critical for us to see further upside. Now, in terms of technicals, we actually have some support now that we're trading above it. 161.40 up to 162.05. This thing, maybe it climbs to 190. We don't really have a lot that's in our way between 162 and 190, at least from a technical standpoint. So if the market's able to hold out at strength, maybe we see it. If instead this thing rolls over and gives up, we have 141 to the south, down below 161, and this trend line that's on here as well that happens to be about 156. And then all the way down here, the next solid support that we get, where we have a bunch of things tangled up here, is about 125 to 128 for Palantir. Now, Restoration Hardware, I also talked about in my previous videos. Check this thing out. A few things that I'm excited about. I have this big old red arrow pointing to 224.19. If we can sit on top of that, we got room to put another 10% on top of this and make that run up to 245. So I'm pretty darn excited about that. We have the 5 up above the 13, up above the 50. We're down below the 200 EMA, so technically bearish on a daily basis. The RSI is climbing and it's up above 50. So if we want to see this, you can see the bottoms of the RSI moving up. You can also see that we keep on getting topped out in here right around 220. So sitting on top of 224 is important to us if we're going to continue north. To put up the simple moving averages just real quick, and we'll take down the technicals because it's kind of noisy. There we go. we have the 20 up above the 100, perfect. We have this long wick down here showing that buying pressure coming in with a gap up today. That's further bullishness that we could be looking forward to. And then the trading volume's not so bad, up above average the last 2 days. And we also found support down here at the 50 simple moving average, crossing up above the 100. If we can get there, that should also be a bullish sign. The 200 is all the way up at 283. And we actually have a pretty wild technical on here that if this thing is able to return to strength, and it might take a while to do this, 339 is what their consolidation pattern points to. We'll see if it's able to do it or not. In the meantime, let's just take the near term look at things. Say above 224, we take that right up to 245. Getting rejected off that makes us look back to the moving averages that are just south of it right now. If we go out to a weekly basis, we are up above the 20 week. That's a good thing. That means when we revert to the mean, it's coming from the north of this thing. So we have that rise to look forward to. So we reverted to the mean from the downside and then crossed over it. So if we put this up here, the exponential moving averages, we actually have a bullish crossover between the 5 and the 13. Let me really stretch this out. There you go, green over yellow, just down here below this candle. You can see it confirmed today. So far, it's up to this week to hold on to that. And then 254 is where we find that 50-week EMA. And from a monthly basis, the RSI is at 44. And we really want to overtake this green 5-month. That is going to be the first thing to look for the monthly chart. That'll be the first sign that we actually have a longer-term trend coming from that. And that RSI crossing over 50 on the monthly is going to be huge for us as well. For the weekly, rising RSI all the way back from March until now. Need to get it to cross 50. It's currently at 47. So let me wrap things up here and put a bow on it. So for Fig stock, that plum really did dry up quickly. However, the near-term technicals suggest that we could at least bounce in the near term. So we'll look and see as that plays out. Remember that all we have is near-term technicals. So it's probably going to be pretty wild for the first few days to weeks until it matures and actually gives us more reference points to look at, more trend lines, more peaks and valleys to really get a longer-term trend going with it. This thing is still a baby, a wee baby. And then from there, SOUN stock, watch for it to go above $11. If it does, I think that's when it could potentially become a little bit more bullish. We're going to have to watch the technicals as well there. Don't forget about the earnings catalyst. BigBear.AI, there could be a further move north on that, especially given the Palantir earnings. We'll see what the earnings call have to say. If they say that there's a larger total addressable market, that people, governments, institutions still continue to be aggressively spending on these things, that could spill over to BigBear.AI as well. And then from there, RH, again, watch it to go north of 224 to see if we can get that 10% pop out of it over the next several days, maybe next several weeks. We'll see. But I do think that we get over 224, it's going to happen in a heartbeat. Probably only take probably a couple days, a day or two, maybe, assuming that the market bias is there with us and assuming that that play actually does happen to play out. The technicals suggest that it could happen, so I'm pretty hopeful for it. But once again, we got to get north of 224 first. If you guys want to see more of my technicals, see my buys and sells, I'm just one of the panel experts over at the Discord. Code word doctor when you sign up for the earner tiers. You get unrestricted access to everything, including the expert panelist channels that are over there as well. We are all over there dedicated to helping to you and your journey towards financial freedom and building alpha in your portfolio. And if you guys want to check out some coursework on technical analysis, trading using technicals, and also how to trade using options to really build that alpha in your portfolio, there's some coursework available through Stockmo Academy. Links down in the description for that as well. Code word doctor will get you a discount for either one of those links that you choose. If you do the courses and you do the bundle for those courses and use code word doctor, that's where you're going to get those maximum savings out of that as well, because you get the bundle discount on top of the code word doctor discount. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of this video down in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you when I come back here or over at the Discord. In a perfect world, it'd be both places. Have a great day, everyone. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you next video.